I know someone who works in the business of exorcisms. Well, I say no, but she's actually an older woman I met at a standing bar near my local train station. That was about 7 years ago now, I think. Back then, I had just moved to the area and didn't have any friends to grab a drink with after work, so I started going to this standing bar that seemed easy to drop by. When I first met that older lady, the moment she saw me, she shrieked, "Gah!" To be honest, I'm pretty used to that sort of reaction. I often get people I don't even know screaming at me out of nowhere. Just screaming would be one thing, but there was even a time someone reported me to the police, saying, "That man is scary. Please catch him." So I just thought, here we go again, and tried to ignore her. But she was different from the others who had screamed at me before. She actually started talking to me. She fired off questions one after another like some sort of interrogation. Where are you from? What do you do for work? What are your parents doing these days? I figured it might not be so bad to make friends with someone like her, so I answered her questions. After a while, she handed me something like a business card and said, "Next time, come to my shop." I really wasn't interested, and she was talking down to me, which was annoying, so I tossed the card as soon as I got home. But then, not long after that, I ran into her again at the same standing bar and ended up getting dragged to her place by force. You see, there was also a skinny older man and a younger woman there, so I couldn't really slip away. By the way, the older woman's name is Tokiko, the young woman is Kei, and the older man is Yasuo. I thought, this has got to be some sort of religious recruitment, and just followed the three of them. None of them said a word on the way, so I tried talking to Kei, but she just went, "Hi," and it was impossible to have a conversation. Yasuo apologized, saying, "I'm sorry. She finds you scary," and I remember feeling really sad about that. Eventually, we arrived at her shop, which turned out to be nothing more than a fortune-telling place. I figured it probably wasn't some religious scam, so I was hoping they might do a little fortune-telling for me. But as soon as we got there, Tokiko said, "Hey, why don't you work with us?" I was like, "Huh?" as I listened to her explanation, and it turned out the three of them worked in exorcism. She said she wanted me to come along on their jobs. At the time, I was employed at a regular company, so I refused, saying, "I already have a job, so no can do." But she wouldn't give up and asked if I could just treat it like a weekend part-time gig. I don't believe in ghosts or gods at all, so I just sort of shrugged and agreed. Sure enough, the very next weekend, they called me and took me to a detached house in the 20th ward. It wasn't too far from my place, so I went to the meeting spot on my bicycle, but got scolded with "Come on foot, you idiot." Reluctantly, I parked my bike nearby and entered the house with them. As soon as we walked in, Tokiko and Kei started saying, "Oh yeah, it's here," while grimacing. I, on the other hand, had no idea what might be in there. I just thought it was a normal house. In the living room, there was a middle-aged couple who served us tea and snacks. They were smiling, but I remember it looking pretty forced. After a little while, Tokiko stood up and said, "Let's get started. Please show us to the room." So we were guided to the second floor. There were two rooms, one on the left and one on the right, and we stopped in front of the door on the right. On the door, written in katakana, was Takao, Takao. "This is the room," the middle-aged couple told us. Tokiko and Kei took salt out of the backpacks they were carrying, sprinkled some bottled water on it, and rubbed it into their hands. Wondering what the heck is about to happen, I asked if I should do the same, but they told me, "You don't need it. Just do exactly what we say." Tokiko warned the middle-aged couple, "No matter what happens, don't lose your composure," then opened the door and went inside. As I was about to follow behind them, a dark figure came lunging at Tokiko from inside the room. It was a boy named Takao, who looked about middle school age. His eyes were unnaturally intense, and he was baring his teeth, screaming something like "Gaja gaja, gaja." He tried to bite Tokiko on the neck, so I thought, this is really bad, and moved in to pull him off her. The moment Takao saw my face, he started trembling, then scrambled to the corner of the bed and curled up. Tokiko shouted, "Hit him. Anywhere on his body." Feeling guilty, I smacked him on the back where he was curled up. I didn't think I'd hit him that hard, but he let out a shriek, "Yigya," then started foaming at the mouth and collapsed. His parents rushed over to help him as he lay there. I glanced at Tokiko, thinking, I didn't hit him that hard, did I? But she just said, "That's the exorcism done. It's all good now." After that, we laid Takao down on his bed, and the middle-aged couple thanked us before we left. Apparently, It was the first time in half a year that Takao had settled down enough to sleep. By the way, his room was in a terrible state. I guess they'd removed anything that might be dangerous, but there were cuts and holes all over the walls. On the way home, I was so confused about what had just happened that I flat out told Tokiko, "I don't understand any of this," and started asking questions. Poor Kei, who had come along with us, ended up throwing up partway back. "You've got something pretty substantial there," Tokiko told me. At first, I thought she was talking about my penis, but apparently that wasn't it. It seems that, depending on which religion or style of exorcism you follow, it's referred to as a guardian spirit or chi or something along those lines. Thinking it must be something really special, I asked, "So, is that a good thing?" She answered, "No, it's the opposite. That thing you've got is the worst." I figured if it's the worst, that can't be good, so I said, "But if it's the worst, doesn't that mean it's no good?" Tokiko replied, "Usually, yes. But you're not normal. It's weird that you can even live with that thing." According to her, the thing I have is apparently pretty terrible. In fact, the reason Kei vomited was because she got cursed when I smacked a cow. I wanted to ask a lot more questions, but Kei was feeling so sick that Tokiko took her in a taxi and left first. I went home on the bike I'd parked earlier. When we got back to Tokiko's shop, I was surprised to receive 100,000 yen, about $1,000. I wondered how much she'd actually charged them, but figured, hey, I got 10 grand just for smacking a middle schooler on the back, so that's fine by me, and was pretty happy. Not long after that, I went abroad to study. I had something I wanted to do more than my job at the time. In the end, I came back 3 years ago, but without a job or any real career. I've been living as a temp worker. When I returned 3 years ago, Tokiko said to me, "That thing of yours has gotten pretty strong," and gave me a sly grin. Apparently, my thing had gained power overseas and leveled up compared to before. All I really did was study seriously, though. For the past 3 years, I've been working part-time at Exorcisms again. But Tokiko, Kei, and Yasuo seem to have some real spiritual sense and can see all sorts of things. I, on the other hand, really can't see a thing. So even now, all I do is either smack something or talk to it. The only unfortunate part is that, even now, Kei throws up after each job. It's my fault, so I always feel really sorry about it.